What insane improvisation helped Tom land the role of Draco? Who was his secret on-set crush? And what does he think about Draco plus Hermione fanfics? Hi, I'm Joy, and you're watching OSSA Movies. How Tom almost didn't become Draco. It's always fun to listen to audition stories from our favorite franchises, right? In the case of Tom Felton, he got the part of Draco by some kind of a miracle. Let me explain. As Tom revealed, he was probably the only kid among the thousands of those auditioning with him who didn't read the books and had no idea what Harry Potter was about. I was one of the late bloomers, so to speak, Felton said. So you might assume that he didn't stand a chance of getting the role compared to all those kids who knew the books by heart. But you're forgetting that talent and charisma were the most important thing the film crew was looking for, not knowledge of the source material. At his audition, Tom had to improvise. Knowing that he would be asked to name a scene from the book that he wanted to see on the screen the most, he tried to listen to what other kids said. When someone mentioned Gringotts and goblins, he thought that must have been cool.
So I was just like, yeah, those Gringotts sound awesome.
But of course, when Tom got the role, he had to read the books, and it actually changed him. I have a lot to thank them for, really, because it was those books that really kind of got me into reading single-handedly, the actor admitted. And he's also grateful to the casting team for giving him the role of Draco instead of another part. As he acknowledged later, he would have been a very different individual if he'd played one of the main characters. Here's what Tom said about Dan and Rupert. There's no one else in the world that A, could have played the character better, and B, could have handled the behind-the-scenes pressure those guys have dealt with. So yeah, the Harry Potter casting was spot on. Tom becoming Draco. We all remember Malfoy's relationship with the main trio.
Dare you talk to me? Filthy little mudblood.
But behind the scenes, it was very different.
Look, I want to punch his hand for the camera.
No, it's hers.
No. Yes. Yes. See that? Champion. Oh, here we go. That's mine.
That's right, the guys were having the time of their lives. Tom became especially close to Emma Watson. They actually shared quite an interesting connection on set, but we'll get back to that later, so stay tuned.
And now I will bow my hand.
And I'm going to come over to the dark side.
Nah, Emma didn't really go to the dark side, and Tom's actually much nicer than Draco in real life. It's funny that he's always more interested in playing characters who are completely different to him. But on the other hand, Felton also let his own darker side come out while playing Malfoy. He once mentioned, "Draco's been the Hyde to my Jekyll all this time." In fact, Tom was so good at portraying the villainous teen that his younger co-stars were afraid of him. "When I meet them, I try to be as friendly as I can, but I think that freaks them out even more. Why is Draco smiling at me?" he recalled. "The more I try to put my arm around them or something, the more it's, get him away from me." But Tom could actually relate to them because he felt the same way about Alan Rickman at the very beginning of the franchise.
It took me quite a lot of courage just to say anything more than, "Good morning, Alan," to him because he was pretty terrifying.
Well, it's understandable. Alan Rickman was a terrific actor, and his portrayal of Snape was just perfect. But let's get back to Tom. Unlike some of his co-stars who struggled to stop fans from identifying them with their characters, he was happy to embrace Malfoy and never wanted to distance himself from him. As far as I know, people quite like Draco. I did quite a good job as Draco, so why would I inherently want to move away from that? It doesn't make any sense, he said. Felton went on to add that Harrison Ford probably doesn't mind being forever associated with Han Solo or Indiana Jones, even though he's done tons of work besides those epic roles. "I'll expect my name to have a precursor of Harry Potter Draco for the rest of my life, and I'm more than happy with that," Tom shared. As he loved being Draco so much, it's no wonder that he has some souvenirs from the set that'll always remind him of the franchise's magical times. The production team let him keep Draco's Slytherin tie pin and his ring. Sure, he also wanted his wand and his costume, but those things were supposed to end up in a museum. But what's more important is that Tom got to keep his on-set friends, including one very special girl. Who crushed on whom? Emma Watson became close friends with Tom in real life. They still hang out together quite often, fueling dating rumors among their fans, some of whom actually wanted Draco and Hermione to be together in the Harry Potter series. But let's get back to Hermione later. And in the meantime, talk about on-set crushes. So yeah, you probably know that Emma had a crush on Tom while filming the first films. She just loved herself a bad boy who was older than her and had a skateboard. Tom's been asked like a million times whether the crush was mutual.
Let's move on, come on now, there's no need for this.
So finally, stop asking. Emma got over her crush, and they've been friends ever since. But Tom, in his turn, also had a crush on the set of Harry Potter, and the woman he liked was none other than Helena Bonham Carter, who played his aunt, Bellatrix Lestrange. Apparently, he was amazed at how awesome she looked on the set and how perfectly she could play the crazy witch. Off the set, it's all hugs and darlings. Then when the camera starts rolling, she turns into a complete psycho. It's amazing to watch, Tom said. And of course, it's also a pleasure to watch Helena doing pretty much anything because she's such a gorgeous woman. So Tom was probably happy to connect with the actress off camera as well when she gave him a few acting tips. On one occasion, she taught him to cry in a scene. She said, "Tell your brain you're not allowed to cry and then it's more likely to happen," he recalled. Her advice probably helps because we can all remember Draco crying and breaking our hearts a little bit in The Half-Blood Prince. He wasn't that bad of a guy after all, huh? Even Tom says that Draco wasn't the typical villain you love to hate. In the final films, you grow to like him more and understand him a little better. We start to see he's a victim of circumstances, Felton said. He almost has a glimpse of redemption, then very quickly throws it away. And what do you think about Draco? Did he deserve a redemption arc? And would it be cool if he'd gotten together with Hermione? Share in the comments below, and meanwhile, let's see what Tom himself thinks about it. Dramione or Drarry? Let me give you a bit of background on this one. There are tons of fanfics on Harry Potter, and many of them reveal that Draco had always been in love with Hermione and only mistreated her because he knew that they couldn't be together. She was Muggle-born while his parents were all about their pure blood, blah blah blah. But even more unexpected fanfics made Draco and Harry a couple. Tom was once asked whether he thinks that any of these scenarios were possible, and he shocked everyone by saying that he believes Harry was totally in love with Draco. "I think it was clearly a fact. Harry was constantly crushing on Draco. He just couldn't hide it," he said, laughing. Isn't that hilarious? And speaking about Draco and Hermione, he said that he never believed that these two could be in love. "At least, not from the books that I read," the actor stated. And what do you think about it? Do you agree with the pairings Rowling gave us in the canon? Or do you think that Draco should have ended up with one of the main characters? Share in the comments, and let's fast forward to today. So is Tom over Draco? Like all of us, he knows about Hollywood's love for reboots of famous franchises, and he's sure that Harry Potter will definitely be rebooted in the future. And if it happens, Tom is happy to return and play in the films once again. It'd be like going back to school again, Felton revealed. And he actually has a fun idea about the casting of this reboot. He thinks that all the original cast should return, but swap their characters. Rupert should play Draco, I'll play Hermione, Dan can play Dobby, and Emma can be Hagrid. It's the perfect recasting, he laughed. Yeah, that sounds like an interesting spin. But seriously, Tom won't be cast as Draco or anyone else from the main trio, for obvious reasons. And yet, he hopes to be old enough to play Lucius Malfoy. That would be cool. And here's one more thing. For years, Tom didn't want to rewatch any of the Harry Potter movies. And it wasn't because he didn't like to see himself on the screen or because he hated his haircut or something. He just thought that he needed a special occasion. "I'm saving that for a sacred day," Felton once said. "I have visions of doing that with my 2 kids when I'm a little bit older." Aww, he's so cute, isn't he? But it looks like he's tired of waiting, because this year he finally rewatched the entire franchise and even posted multiple selfies in front of the TV, featuring some of the most memorable scenes. Do I even need to say that his fans are freaking out over these photos? And what did you think about Draco Malfoy? Share in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and stay awesome. Thanks for watching.